Our mission is to enable older persons and the children left in their care live a better life regardless of their faith. One Touch One Ministries, in short ROTOM, was founded in 2003 in Uganda. The birth of ROTOM stems from a story of an old woman called Elizabeth and her grandchildren. I had the opportunity to live in Canada and USA, and while I lived there, I supported 2 girls in Uganda. These girls were living with their grandmother Elizabeth, and when I came to see them, I found one of their biggest needs was a house. So I built for Elizabeth and her grandchildren a house. This is a house in which she lived with her 2 grandchildren, and we were able to build for them this house. With that, I shared with my wife what had touched my heart, and I returned, leaving my job in USA to Uganda. Many people thought something had gone wrong with me, but I had been convicted and felt like as a Christian I needed to do something. And from Elizabeth I learned that she had several other friends who were in the same situation, who had lost their children. So before I knew it, I came back in October. Within 2 months I was visiting 8 old people in their homes, and they were telling me the same stories, how they had lost their families, how they were suffering, and I had nothing I could do at that point. There was no NGO, it was just me as an individual. So I asked them if we could come together weekly, just to pray. And we came together weekly. That house I had built for Elizabeth. And as we prayed regularly, I got to know more of their needs and more of their stories. And they loved to stay with me once a week just to pray, to talk. And that prayer and talk became very good for them. They liked it. They liked to do it because they could express themselves. They could share some of the burden. They could talk to each other. And since then, up to today, ROTOM provides an opportunity for poor old people to come together weekly to just talk about their problems, talk to each other, and sometimes somebody shares something they think is very big, others share another thing. So they lift each other's burden, they support each other emotionally. And because they like to stay long, we provide for them a meal when they come. And that coming together every week, we call it a weekly fellowship. So I realized they were falling sick, they were lonely, and I started talking to my friend. I said, look, I visit these people every week. I give them food every week, but they also fall sick, and I cannot sustain this financially. So some of my friends said, Kenneth, we will support you. How much do you need to do that? So I asked around, and it would cost me $20 per month to give food, to visit, and if anybody falls sick, I'll keep something to take them. What started as 1 Elizabeth and then 8 seniors quickly became 49, quickly became 200. Now we support over 978 older people in Uganda and 45 in Ethiopia, and also 400 of their grandchildren. So as they came to the fellowship and we visited and we gave them this food, many old people would eat the food at the fellowship and pack some. Especially, they would take out the soup and then the matoke, or the hard food, the meat and posho, they would pack it in dirty bugera, take it home. And it was consistent happening. He said, why do you take the food? This is your food, finish it. They said, Kenneth, how can I eat the food when I have grandchildren at home not eating? I'm saving some for them. And then in one incident, we had given an old person medicine just for cough. It was supposed to last her 7 days. When we went to check on her in 2 days, she had finished the medicine. I said, what happened to the medicine? She said, I used it. I said, but how? This medicine was prescribed for a week. I said, but you know, my grandchildren were also sick. So we realized that their needs were not only themselves. Their biggest burden was their grandchildren. So we looked for partners and we started supporting grandchildren. And we help now, as I said, 400, but over the years we've helped over 550 grandchildren. Some have got through education, through healthcare, counseling, spiritual nurture, and leadership development. Several, over 100, have graduated from universities and colleges, and they are working. And some are actually now helping their own grandmothers. Many have been lucky that they have grown up and grandmothers and grandfathers are still living. They are the ones now helping them, replacing what would have been their fathers and parents who died. All the people need health care. It is our second objective. All the people need food. Our third objective is providing food and income support for all the people. And lastly, but also very important, they need help to raise orphans that have been left to live. And to do them and finance them, now we have we call it Senior Friendship Program. The Senior Friendship Program is a program where a person will say, for every month, I give you some money to support a certain senior. Currently, it is equivalent to $38, or in Uganda, if you are supporting us from Uganda, it's 100,000 Uganda shillings. This enables us to pay for health care, for home visits, for food support, and all that. Two incidents happened. One of them was an old man who had been infested with jiggers, and when we found him, we took him to the center. So the nurses didn't know what to do. He was incontinent, he had jiggers. They pushed him from one hospital to another. When we would keep him, they said, he's very dirty, he needs too much care, we can't keep him. Another one was actually with malaria. We took him, but because he was incontinent, he could not control his going to the toilet. And this hospital had one ward for men. He would go at any time. Before they know it, the place is smelling. They say, you come and take your old man. He's making this place smelly. We cannot keep up with the cleaning. We have only one person to care for these many old men, and others are going to leave the hospital because of him. So in between, we actually took him to two different hospitals. I won't mention their names. In between that movement, he died. And I was so angry. In my understanding, he died because he was old. If he had been young, maybe he would not have been incontinent. He would be able to know that he needs to go to the toilet. He would have said, and he would have taken to the toilet. So he would not have been chased. So we decided that we would build a facility which cares for old people, because in that facility they won't be discriminated. ROTOM started building health centers. So now we have so far built two, one in Chiga, for Marikabari, one in Mukono. They are dedicated to the care of old people. And in these places we care for them very well. Thousands of old people come here every year. I think about 5,000. We come, receive care, and go. And we are patient with them. That's one of our strengths. We understand old people. We understand their needs. And they have our trust. Actually, because of our support, in the last 5 years, the average age of all the people we support has grown from 72 to 78. So we have increased life expectancy, I believe, of all the people we support by 6 years in 5 years. We train 10 to 12 to 20, depending on young people who are grandchildren of these old people, in how to care for elderly people. For 3 months, we train them from here. We have our nurses and doctors, they train them in basic care. And this helps these old people have some care, but also helps their children get jobs. We don't employ all of them. Some of them go to Kampala, they're hired in homes of who have elderly people. Plus, we have now started building care places. Traditionally, we lived together. Me, you, anybody, we lived with our fathers in the same homestead. We grew food together. We worked with each other. There was enough hands. Now, when we leave our villages, we come to the cities looking for jobs. We leave our parents in the village alone. They cannot take care of themselves because there's nobody to care for them. So the number of old people who are being abused because the families are overwhelmed is increasing. The demand for land, which is the biggest asset they have, is also increasing. So younger people want the older people to give them property. Older people are holding on to their property because of their safety. That's what they hold on to. So there's abuse from younger people wanting property. Older people saying, no, I can't give it to you yet. Wait for me to pass on and you can have it. People don't have jobs, they can't wait. So there's increasing rural-urban migration, which causes that. There's increasing poverty in villages. People don't have jobs. So this notion that African tradition takes care of the older people is there, but it is fast going away. The other thing is that because of that, there is not much funding. That's why you don't find other NGOs helping older people. There's no funding. There's so much funding for children. There's so much funding for women. There's so much funding for youth. These days, even the government gives money for youth. There's so much funding for all these categories of people that are suffering. There's no funding. So whether it is donors, you hardly find a donor. Whether it is government, even local businesses. Actually, when they hear that you're helping people, they first get surprised. They may later thank you and recognize and appreciate after education. But the challenge of funding is hard. We have been very lucky that we can sustain the support for 1,000 old people. And our luck stems basically, for me, I think from one point, trust. We are very faithful in how we use the money. We do not use money for what it's not meant to be. We are very frugal with every penny we receive. We make sure it is used the best it can be used. We have a very good financial management system. We have very effective social workers and nurses and other medical workers. We have very many volunteers in the villages. We actually have over 90 volunteers. We have over 47 staff now, 50 staff we have. And because they are very effective, because they are very honest, because they are very thorough in their job, we have been able to produce a good job.